When gaming streamer Tyler Brooks was broadcasting live to his 500,000 viewers, armed police suddenly stormed his room and he vanished forever. His webcam kept rolling for hours afterward, showing an empty gaming chair and flickering RGB lights in complete silence. No official statements. No arrest records. No family contact. For 1 year, his Twitch channel remained frozen on that final frame, until investigators discovered chat logs that proved a terrifying swatting murder. What they found will make you question everything you thought you knew about gaming. February 8, 2025. The FBI's Cybercrime Division completed the largest international dark web takedown in internet history. Operation Digital Darkness had spent 18 months infiltrating networks that facilitated everything from cryptocurrency fraud to human trafficking across encrypted platforms that most law enforcement agencies couldn't even access. Special Agent Sarah Chun, who led the digital forensics team analyzing seized servers, never expected to solve a missing person case that had haunted the gaming community for nearly a year. Her mission was dismantling cybercrime networks, not investigating disappeared streamers. But as her team's advanced recovery software began extracting data from thousands of encrypted hard drives, disturbing patterns began emerging from the digital shadows. The breakthrough came when Chen's team successfully decrypted communications from a server cluster that had been operating under the codename Permanent Band Network. What they found inside wasn't the typical cybercrime evidence they expected. Instead, they discovered detailed planning documents for what appeared to be contract killings disguised as internet harassment campaigns. "This can't be legitimate," Chen muttered, reviewing chat logs that discussed terminating streamers and permanent removal services with the casual tone of people planning a weekend barbecue. The conversations showed participants coordinating what they called enhanced swatting operations that would ensure targets never streamed again. The most chilling discovery was a detailed dossier on Tyler Brooks, complete with his streaming schedule, apartment layout, local police response times, and security vulnerabilities. The file contained over 200 pages of surveillance data that had been compiled during the months leading up to his disappearance on March 14, 2024. But this wasn't random harassment. The communications revealed a sophisticated murder-for-hire network that specialized in eliminating successful online content creators while making their deaths appear to be accidents or the result of swatting pranks gone wrong. The business model was as simple as it was horrifying. Wealthy competitors would pay substantial fees to have rival creators permanently removed from platforms where advertising revenue and sponsorship deals were worth millions. Chun immediately contacted the FBI's Major Case Coordination Center and the Internet Crime Complaint Center. Within hours, federal investigators were reviewing evidence that suggested Tyler Brooks hadn't vanished during a routine swatting incident. He had been assassinated by professional killers who used fake police raids as cover for systematic murder. The encrypted communications showed meticulous planning that spanned 3 months before Tyler's disappearance. Participants discussed everything from creating convincing police uniforms to disposing of bodies in ways that would never be discovered. Most disturbing was their casual discussion of previous, successful operations, involving other content creators whose disappearances had been dismissed as voluntary departures from social media. Assistant Director Michael Torres, who oversaw the FBI's cybercrime operations, understood immediately that they were looking at evidence of serial murder disguised as internet pranks. The sophistication of the operation, the international coordination of participants, and the systematic targeting of high-value creators suggested a criminal enterprise that had been operating successfully for years. "This isn't random internet harassment," Torres told his task force during their emergency briefing. "This is organized assassination with victims chosen based on their online influence and earning potential." The investigation that followed would reveal a network of corruption that reached into the highest levels of the digital entertainment industry. Platform executives, law enforcement officials, and international criminal organizations had collaborated to create a system where digital success made creators targets for elimination by competitors who preferred murder to competition. But for Sarah Chun, whose digital forensics work had accidentally uncovered evidence of systematic creator assassination, the discovery was both breakthrough and horror. Tyler Brooks hadn't disappeared during a swatting incident gone wrong. He had been deliberately murdered by people who understood that in the attention economy, eliminating competition was more profitable than creating better content. The question now was whether the people responsible realized that their digital communications had been preserved in servers that federal investigators had finally learned to access. Tyler Brooks wasn't supposed to become a target. At 23, he represented everything the gaming community celebrated: authentic passion, genuine connection with fans, and the kind of natural charisma that turned casual viewers into devoted followers. His rise from college dropout to streaming superstar had been meteoric, but more importantly, it had been earned through countless hours of entertaining people who found escape and community in his broadcasts. Tyler's journey began 3 years earlier in a cramped dorm room at UC San Diego, where he had been struggling through a computer science degree that felt more like a prison sentence than education. His parents had mapped out his entire future: graduate, find a stable tech job, settle into the kind of middle-class existence that prioritized security over passion. But Tyler had different dreams, ones that involved building something meaningful in the digital spaces where he felt most alive. His first Twitch stream attracted exactly 7 viewers, including his roommate, who was sitting 3 feet away. But there was something magnetic about Tyler's personality that transcended the technical limitations of his setup. He didn't just play games, he created experiences. He made viewers feel like they were hanging out with their best friend, sharing victories and defeats in ways that felt genuine rather than performative. The apartment in downtown Los Angeles that had become his streaming headquarters was a testament to how far he had come. Multiple high-end cameras captured every angle of his reactions. Professional lighting eliminated the harsh shadows that marked amateur streamers. The RGB setup that would later flicker in empty silence had been carefully designed to create an atmosphere that felt both futuristic and welcoming. But Tyler's real success came from understanding something that many streamers missed. His audience wasn't just watching him play games. They were investing emotionally in a person who made them feel seen, valued, and part of something larger than themselves. His chat was a community where people shared personal struggles, celebrated achievements, and found friendship in ways that their offline lives sometimes couldn't provide. Tyler's daily routine had evolved into a carefully orchestrated performance that didn't feel like performance at all. He would start streaming at 2 p.m. Pacific time, exactly when his core audience was getting home from school or work. The first hour was always dedicated to reading chat messages, responding to donations, and making genuine connections with viewers who had been part of his journey for months or years. "You guys are literally my family," Tyler would say during quieter moments between games, and his viewers could tell he meant it. This wasn't the calculated relatability of corporate influencers. This was a young man who had found his purpose in making other people happy, one stream at a time. His gaming skills were impressive, but not extraordinary. What set Tyler apart was his ability to make failure entertaining, to turn losses into learning experiences, and to celebrate victories in ways that made viewers feel like they had contributed to his success. When he finally achieved difficult goals in games, the chat would explode with genuine excitement that felt like a shared accomplishment. The sponsorship deal he had signed just weeks before his disappearance represented validation that his approach was working. Major gaming companies were recognizing that authentic connection was more valuable than pure technical skill. Tyler's audience trusted his recommendations because they trusted him as a person, making his endorsements incredibly effective for brands trying to reach the lucrative gaming demographic. But success in the streaming world came with dangers that Tyler had only recently begun to understand. The same visibility that made him valuable to sponsors also made him a target for people who saw his influence as a threat to their own ambitions. The gaming industry's competitive nature had evolved beyond simple rivalry into something darker and more dangerous. Tyler's apartment had become both his sanctuary and his vulnerability. The same cameras that allowed him to connect with hundreds of thousands of viewers also broadcast his location, his daily routines, and his security vulnerabilities to anyone watching carefully enough. The transparency that made him successful also made him an easy target for people who had learned to weaponize the internet against its own stars. As February 2024 turned into March, Tyler was at the peak of his influence, beloved by his community, and completely unaware that his success had marked him for elimination by forces he couldn't have imagined. The digital empire he had built with dedication and authenticity was about to become the weapon used to destroy him. March 14, 2024. Tyler Brooks woke up to what should have been the most exciting day of his streaming career. His planned 24-hour charity marathon for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital had been promoted for weeks, with major gaming companies pledging matching donations and fellow streamers promising guest appearances. The fundraising goal of $100,000 seemed ambitious but achievable given his audience's loyalty and the collaborative spirit of the gaming community. But the morning also brought concerning messages that Tyler tried to dismiss as routine internet toxicity. His Discord DMs contained several anonymous threats that went beyond typical gaming harassment. These weren't the usual angry messages from viewers upset about game choices or community drama. These were specific, detailed threats that mentioned his address, his daily routines, and his security vulnerabilities in ways that suggested surveillance rather than random malice. "Someone needs to teach this fake streamer a lesson," one message read. March 14th would be a perfect day for a reality check. Tyler screenshot the threats and forwarded them to Twitch's safety team, following protocols he had learned from other streamers who had faced escalating harassment. He also contacted the Los Angeles Police Department's non-emergency line to inform them about the upcoming marathon stream, explaining that he was concerned about potential swatting attempts during the extended broadcast. The LAPD officer who took his call was familiar with swatting incidents involving content creators. "We'll make a note in our system," Officer Martinez assured him. "If any calls come in about your address, we'll verify with you directly before responding." This conversation should have provided peace of mind, but Tyler couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about the recent threats. The level of detail, the timing coinciding with his biggest charity stream, and the coordinated nature of messages from multiple anonymous accounts suggested organization rather than random trolling. At 7:30 p.m., Tyler began his final equipment check before the marathon stream. 3 cameras were positioned to capture different angles of his reactions. His streaming software was configured for maximum quality to handle the expected surge in viewers. Donation alerts were set up to create excitement for the charity goals, and his moderators were briefed on handling the larger-than-usual chat volume. Tyler's pre-stream ritual included reaching out to his core community through social media, building anticipation for what he hoped would be an epic fundraising success. "Tonight's going to be special," he posted on Twitter. "Let's show the world what the gaming community can accomplish when we work together." At exactly 8 p.m. Pacific time, Tyler went live. The viewer count climbed rapidly as word spread through gaming communities that his charity marathon had begun. Within the first hour, donations were flowing steadily, and the chat was filled with the kind of positive energy that reminded Tyler why he had fallen in love with streaming. "This is already incredible," Tyler told his audience as the donation total passed $15,000. "You guys are proving that gamers are the most generous people on the planet." But hidden within the flood of legitimate viewers were participants in a carefully orchestrated plan that had been months in the making. The charity stream that Tyler intended as a celebration of community generosity was actually serving as cover for his own elimination. Every camera angle he had set up to document his marathon fundraising effort would also document his disappearance. At 11:30 p.m., Tyler was in the middle of an intense gaming session when he noticed unusual activity in his chat. Multiple new accounts were posting messages with subtle references to law enforcement and incoming visitors. The messages were being deleted by moderators almost immediately, but Tyler caught enough glimpses to feel his anxiety spike. "Chat's getting weird tonight," he mentioned to his viewers, trying to maintain his usual lighthearted tone. "Mods are doing great work keeping things clean." What Tyler didn't realize was that the weird chat activity was actually countdown coordination by people who were waiting for a specific time to spring their trap. The charity stream that had brought his community together in support of sick children was about to become the last thing Tyler Brooks would ever broadcast to the world. At 11:47 p.m., Tyler's life would end not from natural causes or random violence, but from a meticulously planned assassination disguised as an internet prank. His decision to use his platform for charity had sealed his fate by providing the perfect cover for murder. March 14, 2024, 11:47 p.m. Tyler Brooks was in the middle of explaining a complex game strategy to his 523,000 live viewers when the sound of splintering would erupted from somewhere off-camera. The gaming headset he was wearing partially muffled the noise, but the sudden crash was unmistakable. Someone had just broken down his apartment door. "What the hell?" Tyler said, spinning his gaming chair toward the sound. His expression shifted from confusion to terror in the span of seconds as armed figures in tactical gear stormed into view of his primary camera. The chat exploded with thousands of messages per second, viewers frantically asking what was happening while others immediately recognized the signs of a swatting incident. The stream continued for exactly 37 more seconds. Viewers watched in horror as Tyler stood up from his chair, hands raised, shouting, "I'm streaming. This is live. I called you guys earlier." But his words were drowned out by shouted commands from the figures surrounding him. Then Tyler disappeared from the camera's view, apparently forced to the ground outside the frame. What happened next would haunt the gaming community for the next year. Tyler's webcam kept broadcasting to over 500,000 viewers, showing only his empty gaming chair, the RGB lights cycling through their programmed colors, and the sound of his mechanical keyboard still glowing but untouched. The stream continued for 8 hours and 14 minutes of complete silence. Twitch's initial response was to treat the incident as a standard swatting case, a dangerous but increasingly common prank where false emergency reports are made to send armed police to streamers' homes. The platform's safety team had protocols for such incidents, usually involving temporary suspension of streams and coordination with law enforcement to ensure creator safety. But this case immediately broke from the typical pattern. Standard swatting incidents lasted minutes, not hours. Police departments usually issued statements about false reports within hours of response. Most importantly, streamers who survived swatting attempts typically returned online within days to address their audiences and thank supporters. Tyler Brooks never returned. By 6 a.m. on March 15th, Tyler's moderators and fellow streamers were desperately trying to get answers. Phone calls to local hospitals yielded no records of any patient matching Tyler's description. The Los Angeles Police Department's Media Relations Office claimed no knowledge of any operation at Tyler's address. Jail booking records showed no arrests under Tyler's name. The gaming community's response was immediate and unprecedented. #WhereIsTyler began trending worldwide within hours. Fellow streamers organized coordinated broadcasts demanding answers. Gaming companies that had sponsored Tyler's charity stream issued statements expressing concern and calling for thorough investigation. But the most disturbing discovery came from Tyler's own community. Tech-savvy viewers had been recording the stream and analyzing every frame of the incident. Their examination revealed details that challenged the official swatting narrative. The figures who had entered Tyler's apartment wore tactical gear that didn't match standard LAPD equipment. Their movements and coordination suggested military or private security training rather than police procedures. More unsettling was the audio analysis. While most viewers had focused on the visual chaos, audio specialists detected whispered communications that didn't match police radio protocols. The few words that could be isolated included phrases like "package secured" and "cleanup protocols initiated," language more consistent with criminal operations than law enforcement. Detective Maria Santos, who was assigned to investigate Tyler's disappearance, found herself facing a case that defied explanation. No police department in Los Angeles County had conducted any operation at Tyler's address. No emergency calls had been made regarding his apartment. No official agency claimed responsibility for the armed response that 500,000 people had witnessed live. "We have video evidence of an apparent law enforcement operation," Detective Santos reported to her supervisor. But no law enforcement agency admits to conducting it. Either we're looking at a massive interdepartmental communication failure, or what those viewers witnessed wasn't actually police. The missing person report filed by Tyler's family was processed through standard channels, but Detective Santos privately suspected they were investigating something far more serious than a disappeared streamer. The systematic removal of all evidence, the lack of any official record, and the professional execution of the operation suggested coordination that went beyond typical criminal activity. Tyler Brooks had vanished during a live broadcast witnessed by over 500,000 people, Yet somehow no official record of his disappearance existed anywhere in the system. The gaming community was demanding answers that Detective Santos was beginning to suspect might be too dangerous to uncover. 1 year, 365 days since Tyler Brooks vanished during a live broadcast witnessed by over 500,000 people. 365 nights that his Twitch channel remained frozen on that final frame. An empty gaming chair surrounded by RGB lights that had long since been turned off by building management. 365 mornings that the gaming community woke up hoping for answers that never came. Tyler's mother, Patricia Brooks, had become a woman transformed by grief and determination. Her suburban Phoenix home was now headquarters for a missing person investigation that law enforcement seemed unable or unwilling to conduct. Her kitchen table was covered with printed screenshots, chat logs, and correspondence with tech experts who volunteered their skills to help solve the mystery of her son's disappearance. Tyler didn't just vanish, Patricia told anyone who would listen. 500,000 people watched him being taken. Someone knows what happened, and I won't stop until I find out who. The Twitch platform had made the unprecedented decision to leave Tyler's channel exactly as it was on the night he disappeared. The frozen stream became an unofficial memorial that attracted thousands of daily visitors who left messages of support, shared memories, and demanded justice. The chat was permanently disabled, but the viewer count continued climbing as the story spread beyond gaming communities into mainstream media. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a digital forensics expert at MIT and longtime gaming enthusiast, had spent months analyzing every second of Tyler's final stream. Her frame-by-frame examination revealed details that law enforcement had either missed or chosen to ignore. The audio signatures didn't match any known police equipment. The tactical movements suggested private military training. Most disturbing was her discovery of synchronized communications that indicated coordination between the armed figures and outside operators. This wasn't a swatting incident gone wrong, Dr. Walsh concluded in her unauthorized report. This was a professionally executed operation designed to remove Tyler Brooks permanently while making it appear to be internet harassment. Gaming YouTuber Marcus Chun, who had collaborated with Tyler on several charity streams, used his platform to keep the story alive when mainstream media moved on to other topics. His investigative videos analyzing Tyler's disappearance attracted millions of views and spawned countless copycat investigations by amateur detectives across social media platforms. But the most persistent questions came from Tyler's own community. Thousands of his regular viewers had created Discord servers, subreddit communities, and social media groups dedicated to solving the mystery. They analyzed everything from Tyler's final gaming sessions to the backgrounds of anonymous donors who had contributed to his charity stream. Some theories were wild conspiracy speculation, but others revealed disturbing patterns that professional investigators had overlooked. The gaming industry itself had been transformed by Tyler's disappearance. Major streaming platforms implemented new safety protocols requiring real-time verification of law enforcement contacts. Security companies began offering specialized protection services for high-profile content creators. Insurance companies started providing coverage for harassment-related risks that had previously been considered too unpredictable to underwrite. Meanwhile, swatting incidents across gaming platforms had actually increased since Tyler's disappearance, as if his case had inspired copycat attempts rather than deterring them. But several streamers reported that their swatting incidents felt different, more professional, more coordinated, and more difficult to trace than typical harassment campaigns. Detective Maria Santos had officially closed Tyler's case after 6 months of investigation that yielded no actionable leads. Privately, she remained convinced that Tyler Brooks had been the victim of a crime that went far beyond simple kidnapping or harassment. The systematic elimination of evidence, the lack of any official record, and the professional execution suggested an organization with resources and connections that local law enforcement couldn't match. Someone wanted Tyler Brooks gone, Santos wrote in her final report. They had the capability to make him disappear without leaving any trace, and they had the connections to ensure no official investigation would succeed. The anniversary of Tyler's disappearance brought renewed attention to his case, but also growing resignation that answers might never come. The gaming community held virtual memorial services. His family announced a foundation in his name, and Twitch finally updated his channel status to permanently suspended rather than offline. But in the digital shadows where Tyler's case had originated, encrypted communications continued flowing between participants who believed their secret was safely buried with their victim. They had no way of knowing that federal investigators were developing new capabilities to access networks that had previously been beyond law enforcement reach. The evidence Tyler had died protecting was waiting in digital vaults that even the most sophisticated criminals couldn't permanently delete. And when that evidence finally surfaced, it would prove that Tyler Brooks hadn't been the victim of random internet violence. He had been assassinated for the crime of becoming too successful in an economy where influence equals currency, and elimination had become the preferred method of corporate competition. February 8, 2025. Special Agent Sarah Chun had been staring at encrypted chat logs for 14 straight hours, but the discovery that would finally solve Tyler Brooks' disappearance came buried in server data that most investigators would have dismissed as routine cybercrime evidence. Her team's breakthrough in Operation Digital Darkness had unlocked communication networks that revealed systematic coordination of what appeared to be contract killings disguised as internet harassment. The advanced decryption algorithms that Chin's team had developed specifically for this investigation were now processing terabytes of data from seized servers. What began as a routine analysis of cryptocurrency fraud networks suddenly revealed communications that used gaming terminology to discuss what were clearly assassination contracts. Target acquired. Tyler B_streams. Read one message from March 12, 2024. Final operation scheduled for charity event. Payment confirmed via blockchain transfer. Chun immediately recognized the significance of finding Tyler Brooks' streaming handle in communications that predated his disappearance by 2 days. This wasn't evidence of random harassment that had escalated unexpectedly. This was proof of premeditated murder disguised as a swatting incident. The digital forensics breakthrough came from cross-referencing multiple encrypted networks that had been operating independently but sharing common participants. Chin's team discovered that the same cryptocurrency wallets used for human trafficking operations had also funded what the participants called permanent streaming solutions. FBI Cybercrime Division Director Michael Torres was called in when Chin's analysis revealed the scope of what they had uncovered. The networks weren't just facilitating Tyler's murder. They had been systematically targeting successful content creators across multiple platforms for elimination services that wealthy competitors could purchase anonymously. This is organized crime adapted for the digital economy, Torres told his emergency task force. They're using cryptocurrency payments and encrypted communications to facilitate murder-for-hire services specifically targeting online influencers. The most damaging evidence came from blockchain analysis that Chin's team conducted in parallel with communication decryption. Advanced cryptocurrency tracing revealed payment patterns that connected Tyler's assassination to a network of transactions totaling over $2.3 million across 18 months of operations. But the smoking gun was hidden in metadata that the killers had assumed was permanently deleted. Chin's advanced recovery techniques revealed detailed planning documents that included Tyler's streaming schedule, apartment security assessments, local police response protocols, and escape routes for the assassination team. The technology that finally cracked the case represented years of FBI development specifically designed to penetrate networks that traditional law enforcement couldn't access. Machine learning algorithms could now trace cryptocurrency transactions through multiple conversion attempts, while quantum decryption techniques could break encryption that had previously been considered unbreakable. Chin's team also discovered video evidence that had been stored on servers controlled by the assassination network. Security footage from Tyler's apartment building showed the same individuals who had stormed his room during the live stream, but the footage revealed they had spent weeks conducting surveillance before the operation. More disturbing was the discovery that similar communication patterns appeared in connection with at least 17 other missing content creators across different platforms. The same systematic planning, the same cryptocurrency payment structures, and the same professional coordination that had eliminated Tyler Brooks. We're not looking at a single murder, Chin reported to FBI headquarters. We're looking at evidence of serial assassination targeting the most successful online content creators in America. Federal prosecutors immediately recognized that Chin's team had uncovered evidence of the largest murder-for-hire conspiracy in Internet history. The sophistication of the operation, the international coordination of participants, and the systematic targeting of high-value creators suggested a criminal enterprise that had been operating successfully while law enforcement agencies struggled to understand digital crime. But the breakthrough also revealed something more personal and tragic, proof that Tyler Brooks had been specifically targeted not for anything he had done wrong, but because his success had made him valuable enough to kill. In the attention economy, influence had become currency, and elimination had become the preferred method of corporate competition. The investigation that followed would dismantle a network that had transformed Internet harassment into professional assassination services, but it would also reveal how little protection existed for the people who had built their careers in digital spaces that offered fame without security. February 15, 2025. 7 days after the FBI's massive server seizure, investigative journalist Amanda Hayes received an encrypted message that would finally provide the missing piece of Tyler Brooks' murder case. The sender identified himself only as GamerGhost21, but his first communication contained insider details about dark web assassination networks that only someone with direct participation could possess. "I was a moderator for the network that killed Tyler Brooks," the message read. "I can't live with what we did anymore." Hayes, who had been covering cybercrime and digital harassment for Wired magazine for 6 years, immediately recognized that this wasn't another attention-seeking conspiracy theorist. GamerGhost21 knew specific technical details about cryptocurrency laundering, understood the exact communication protocols used by assassination networks, and most importantly, could describe the planning process for Tyler's murder in detail that matched the FBI's preliminary findings. Over the next 48 hours, through carefully secured communications, GamerGhost21 revealed his role as a coordinator for what the network called permanent ban services. His job had been moderating encrypted chat rooms where wealthy clients could request the elimination of successful content creators who threatened their own business interests or personal vendettas. The Tyler Brooks contract came from a competitor who was losing sponsorship deals because Tyler's audience was more engaged, he explained. The client paid $180,000 in Bitcoin for what we called a Swatting Plus operation, permanent removal disguised as a harassment incident gone wrong. The business model was as simple as it was horrifying. Jealous competitors, disgruntled former partners, or wealthy individuals who resented successful creators could anonymously purchase assassination services through cryptocurrency payments that were nearly impossible to trace. The network had perfected the art of making murders appear to be accidents, suicides, or the tragic consequences of Internet harassment. GamerGhost21 had personally coordinated 12 permanent removal operations over 18 months, each time believing that he was helping clean up the Internet by eliminating problematic creators. The psychological manipulation techniques used by network leaders had convinced participants that they were performing a public service rather than facilitating serial murder. "They told us we were protecting authentic creators from fake influencers who were corrupting gaming culture," he continued. "We thought we were the good guys until I realized we were just contract killers with Internet connections." The whistleblower's decision to come forward had been triggered by learning about Tyler's charity work through the FBI investigation coverage. For months, he had carried the guilt of knowing that his coordination had facilitated the murder of someone who had used his platform to raise money for sick children. GamerGhost21 provided Hayes with devastating evidence. Chat logs showing the step-by-step planning of Tyler's assassination, cryptocurrency transaction records proving payment for murder services, and most damaging of all, video recordings of planning sessions where participants discussed the best methods for eliminating high-profile streamers without detection. The Tyler operation was considered our most successful because it was witnessed by over 500,000 people, yet no one suspected murder, his final message read. "We made assassination look like Internet harassment, and Tyler's own community helped cover up the crime by assuming it was just swatting." The conspiracy that murdered Tyler Brooks wasn't the work of random Internet trolls or foreign adversaries. It was a systematic domestic operation involving jealous competitors, corrupt platform insiders, and professional assassins who had transformed the creator economy into a killing field where success meant becoming a target for elimination. Permanent ban services had been operating since 2022, designed as a murder-for-hire network specifically targeting successful online content creators. The business model was elegant in its simplicity. Wealthy clients could anonymously purchase the elimination of rival creators through cryptocurrency payments that were nearly impossible to trace through traditional law enforcement channels. GamerGhost 21's documentation revealed the complete network structure. Competing streamers would identify targets whose success threatened their own revenue streams, then coordinate with network moderators to arrange permanent solutions. Platform insiders provided access to creator security information, while professional killers handled the actual assassinations using methods designed to appear as accidents or harassment incidents. Tyler Brooks' fatal mistake was achieving the kind of authentic success that threatened established creators who had built their audiences through manufactured drama rather than genuine content. His charity work, sponsor relationships, and devoted community represented everything that the network's clients resented about the evolving creator economy. The recorded planning sessions GamerGhost 21 provided were chilling in their casual discussion of murder as business strategy. Tyler Brooks is stealing market share from legitimate creators, one participant said during a coordination meeting. His elimination will redistribute his audience and sponsor deals to people who deserve them more. The March 14th operation had been specifically designed as the network's most ambitious assassination. Tyler's charity stream provided perfect cover for what they called a public execution, murder witnessed by hundreds of thousands of viewers who would assume they were watching a tragic harassment incident rather than premeditated homicide. Professional contractors had spent weeks studying Tyler's apartment layout, local police response protocols, and streaming setup configuration. The fake police raid was executed with military precision, using authentic-looking tactical gear and coordinated communication to create the appearance of legitimate law enforcement action. The conspiracy had successfully eliminated at least 17 high-profile content creators across multiple platforms over 3 years, generating an estimated $400 million in redistributed advertising revenue and sponsorship deals for surviving creators who had paid for their competitors' deaths. But Tyler Brooks' murder had been their masterpiece of misdirection. The network had successfully convinced over 500,000 witnesses that they were watching an internet harassment incident rather than a professionally executed assassination. Tyler's own community had helped cover up his murder by accepting the swatting narrative without questioning the lack of official police involvement. The 23-year-old streamer hadn't died because of random internet violence or foreign interference in American social media. He had been assassinated by domestic competitors who preferred murder to fair competition in an economy where influence equals revenue and elimination had become the preferred method of market consolidation. Tyler's dedication to authentic content creation and charitable work had made him valuable enough to kill, marking him for death by the very success that his audience had helped him achieve. Tyler Brooks trusted his gaming community. He believed that sharing his passion would build connections, not create targets. His murder exposed how digital success breeds deadly jealousy among those who profit from eliminating competitors. GamerGhost 21's testimony revealed encrypted networks that billion-dollar streaming industries refused to acknowledge existed. Those dark web communications documenting systematic creator elimination became Tyler's digital epitaph, evidence that in the attention economy, influence equals a death sentence. How many other creators have been eliminated through fake swatting operations? What happens when digital platforms profit more from tragedy than from protecting their talent? Can online content creation survive when success means becoming a murder target? Drop a comment. Do you feel safe streaming or creating content online? Hit subscribe, because when our digital heroes disappear, the internet becomes a hunting ground.